Hey there, fellow thrill seekers and dark tale enthusiasts. Welcome to Eerie Echo Enigmas, your one-stop shop for everything weird, wacky, and wonderfully terrifying. If you've got a taste for the mysterious, the paranormal, true crime, and all those creepy pasta stories that make you question your life choices at 3 a.m., you're in the right place. Before we dive into today's spine-tingling tale, do me a solid. Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on any of the bizarre content we've got lined up. Now, sit back, relax, if you can, and enjoy the stories that'll keep you up at night. The Silent Watcher. I always thought the old house on Elm Street was haunted. It stood there decrepit and forgotten, a relic of a bygone era. As a kid, I used to dare my friends to go inside, but none of us ever had the courage. We were all too scared of the stories we heard, whispers of strange noises and ghostly apparitions. Years passed, and I moved away from the small town. Life took its course, and the memories of that eerie house faded into the background. But one summer I decided to return for a visit, driven by nostalgia and a curious longing to confront my childhood fears. I arrived on a sweltering July afternoon. The town hadn't changed much, still the same sleepy place I remembered. But the house on Elm Street seemed even more sinister now, its windows shattered, the once grand facade now crumbling. I felt a strange compulsion to explore it, to finally face the source of so many sleepless nights. Armed with a flashlight and a sense of trepidation, I made my way to the front door, which creaked open with an almost theatrical groan. The air inside was stale and suffocating. Dust particles floated in the thin beams of sunlight that managed to penetrate the grime-covered windows. The floorboards creaked under my weight as I navigated the dark corridors, my flashlight revealing glimpses of forgotten furniture and peeling wallpaper. I made my way to the second floor, where I found a door slightly ajar. Pushing it open, I stepped into a small room. It was empty save for a single dusty chair facing the window. As I approached, I noticed a faint outline in the dust on the floor, as if someone had been sitting there recently. A chill ran down my spine. Who would come to this forsaken place? My thoughts were interrupted by a sudden noise, a soft, almost imperceptible whisper. I swung my flashlight around but saw nothing. The whisper grew louder, echoing off the walls. It was then that I saw it. In the corner of the room, a shadowy figure stood motionless. My heart pounded as I tried to rationalize what I was seeing. It was just a trick of the light, I told myself. But then the figure moved. It stepped forward and I could see its eyes. Hollow, soulless eyes that seemed to pierce right through me. I stumbled backward, my flashlight flickering. The whispering grew louder, more urgent. It was saying something, but I couldn't make out the words. Panic set in, and I turned to flee. As I ran down the stairs, I heard footsteps behind me, growing closer with each step. I burst out of the house, gasping for breath, and didn't stop running until I reached the safety of my car. As I sped away, I glanced back and saw the figure standing in the doorway watching me. It didn't follow, but I could feel its gaze, cold and unrelenting. To this day, I don't know what I encountered in that house. I've tried to convince myself it was all in my head, a product of my overactive imagination. But deep down, I know the truth. Something evil resides in that house, a silent watcher waiting for its next victim. And sometimes late at night I can still hear the whispers. The Shawnee Lake Amusement Park. Have you ever wandered through the eerie corridors of an abandoned amusement park, where each rustling leaf and creaking board seems to whisper ancient secrets? I found myself drawn to such a place not long ago, lured by tales of spectral dolls that moved of their own accord within the decaying remains of the Lake Shawnee Amusement Park. It was a crisp autumn evening when I ventured into the heart of Lake Shawnee, its once vibrant attractions now shrouded in darkness and neglect. The moon hung low in the sky, casting ghostly shadows across the cracked pavement as I cautiously stepped through the overgrown entrance. Inside, the air was thick with the musty scent of old popcorn and forgotten dreams. The moonlight filtered through broken windows, illuminating rows of weathered movie posters and discarded props. It was amidst this eerie scene that I first encountered the dolls. They stood in a forgotten corner of the park, a collection of porcelain figures with eyes that seemed to follow my every move. Their painted smiles were frozen in eternal anticipation, yet as I approached, I felt a chill creep down my spine. Could it be true? Could these lifeless dolls harbor a sinister secret? I picked up one of the dolls, its delicate features eerily pristine despite the years of neglect. As I held it, a soft whisper echoed in the stillness of the night, a voice from beyond, pleading for release from the bonds of the past. Startled, I glanced around, but there was no one in sight. It was as though the very walls of Lake Shawnee were alive with unseen watchers. Suddenly, a gentle breeze stirred through the park, causing the dolls to sway ever so slightly. My heart raced as I watched in disbelief. They were moving, small, subtle motions at first, as if testing the limits of their spectral presence. Then, with a shiver-inducing certainty, they began to dance. Their delicate limbs twisted and turned in a macabre waltz, their painted eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. I stood transfixed, unable to tear my gaze away from the haunting spectacle unfolding before me. It was as though the spirits of long-forgotten performers had found solace in these lifeless vessels, using them to relive their final tragic performance. In the midst of this spectral ballet, I heard a soft voice call out, a name whispered on the wind. Emily, it sighed, a lament carried by the echoes of time itself. Was it the name of the doll in my hands, or the restless spirit seeking release? I placed the doll gently back amongst its companions, my mind swirling with unanswered questions. Who were these spectral performers, forever trapped in the limbo of Lake Shawnee? What tragedy had bound them to this desolate place, their memories etched into every weathered plank and cracked facade? As I turned to leave, the moon slipped behind a veil of clouds, plunging the Lake Shawnee amusement park back into darkness. The dolls fell still once more, their dance completed for now. But I knew, deep within my bones, that their story was far from over.